shadows there. And all the green stuff you see, I wish were all my crops, but it's the weeds, because we had a lot of rain, which is good in Arizona in the high desert, but means weeds. Alright, we cut back on our rogue cantaloupe, squash, honeydew, whatever it is, and the asparagus is getting a little taller now, which is good. It's over there too, it's getting a little meatier. And here is, I think it's a honeydew, is what I'm guessing. Peppers have a ton of peppers still on them, which is awesome. Our beans are looking good. Nothing yet though. Our basil's coming up. Sweet potatoes. We had a blossom over here, came off. Rosemary. And then our one potato here doesn't look like it's making it. It has some dill, I believe. And then our carrots. Let's see, our carrots right there. Over here is, they're doing really good. Here is our zucchini right here. And if you trim in, we see some little zucchinis. Next to that is our cucumber. And we haven't had cucumber this year, last year. This is our first year square foot gardening. But it is climbing a tiny bit, like right here. And then here's our butternut squash climbing on up. And here is one dude and another dude. And over here is our yellow squash. And we are getting a lot of yellow squash, which is always the case in August, huh? But we are enjoying them. Chard is looking pretty good. And our beans. Over here, this is the one that was having issues. I got some new soil, turned it up, everything. Things are starting to look good, especially with the rain. Some of our yellow and squash, zucchini over here. Our beans, some peppers, our fat and sassy peppers, they're there. Beets, Japanese turnip, radish, we've had some radishes, and some okras popping up. Over here our tomatoes, we cut back a little bit, so we start getting some tomatoes, and I've planted some of the things. We trimmed some basil off. We had a big tomato worm on here. As you can see, this doesn't have any leaves, but we got rid of that. So hopefully the peppers do well. Here's more peppers and tomatoes, and let's see if I can find some tomatoes. There's a red one right there. Oops, right there, and there's some more green ones throughout. And then I planted something called New Zealand spinach here. It's supposed to be, it's not a true spinach, but it's supposed to be like the warm weather. So there you go. Over here we got nice watermelon. You can see here's one. These are the sugar babies, about 10 pounds. So it should be a little bit smaller than basketball. So here's one, and it's growing kind of funky, so I'm wondering about that. But he's growing up, and then we have one other big one plus some smaller ones. Here's our other big one right there. And they're growing like crazy all over the place. And here's some pumpkins and some beets, some more green beans. And there's some green onions coming up. Some more chard. Our Bright Lights chard is doing really well. We're enjoying that. And something else is popping up right there. Over here, we have spaghetti squash. Get out of the sun here. That is doing extremely well. Haven't had one yet. It's climbing, and our one guy right here will be picking shortly. We have a little bit of an eggplant right here. Yeah. And some more stuff in here. We have some lima beans, and we have our chili pepper that hasn't done anything, and our green beans. And then over here, this is a strawberry box that I decided to plant some crazy squash, and yes, it's doing well. Here's our corn, and it's tasseling, and we've been hand pollinating it, and hopefully have some corn shortly. Here is our sunflowers, and they're getting ready. And here's some more corn. And I planted some beans in there throughout. And here's some cantaloupe up against the fence that our berries do not grow, and all the weeds over here. Here's some more cantaloupe. And there's our one other one we have there. Here's some pumpkins and some butternut squash. Butternut squash there, pumpkin, big and small kind. They're doing well. Oh, just reminds me that I need a weed. And then, interesting here, our little garden box overrun by, again, cantaloupe. Got one cantaloupe. Cantaloupe always takes up a lot of room, doesn't produce too many. And this is a funny one. We think it's a weed. Well, we didn't know what it was. We're thinking now it's a weed, but it produced this weird thing, so I have no clue what this is. Had some pretty flowers though, and didn't look too much like a weed. So anyway, that is our garden, and it's August 10th again. Bye. The pumpkins. These guys are pumpkins, and I planted one butternut because I had some seeds. I'd try that, and so I think some of these are pumpkin too. And our last one is this garden box, and is like there's some chard and beet you can see in there. And then of course, since I used my own compost, some things started growing, and we got a couple cantaloupes. There's one right there, and there's another one right there, and the third one's in there. But so doing well, especially with all the rain. So here's the garden, and I'm happy. I'm just waiting for some stuff to be all ready. So see you later. Just kind of the fun of gardening. Here's a spinach. My only spinach that's popped up right there. But all this extra stuff here. And this is another leftover one. I decided, hey, plant pumpkins. I have 4 children, so here's some pumpkins. And where are now? And that was my phone. And then these are, I ordered, and you can barely see it because of, again, I use my own compost. So it's random squash garden, but these are supposed to be raspberries, and they did nothing. These are supposed to be grapes over here. All 3 of them did nothing. One actually got some leaves, and then of course I planted it, and then it got cold and it froze, and so nothing except squash is growing against the fence. That's good. And then this was supposed to be blackberries, and the squash is really